This week, I'm really happy to have on the show Andy Carne. He's the director of 3D and 3D has been producing some really great ways of getting music out there. So, Andy, can you explain sort of what the company does and what your main product is?
3D is essentially the music packaging, but in an online format. It's an interface to music. But it uses the packaging that would normally exist in the real world as an interface to get to the music. So you actually get a three-dimensional render of your packaging. You're able to open that as a booklet and look through it, and you can play tracks off of the booklet and share it with friends and click through to purchase the tracks if you wish.
Yeah.
So it goes out in a number of different formats. It can go out in a number of different ways. Some people have chosen to put full tracks on there as a way of propagating this album to people. Some people have chosen to put 30-second clips on there.
Yeah.
And if it's got the 30-second clip, for example, you could then, complete your album, if you like, by buying the tracks, and it auto-locates itself to you to give you the relevant retail place for your territory.
Yeah. And how did you get the idea for this service, and what was the timeline for the development of it?
The product came into fruition properly about a year ago as a development project, which had been under development for about a year. My history is that I used to design packaging for music, and I used to work with all of the majors in the UK in designing packaging, and I could foresee that there was a decline in the importance put on packaging.
Yeah.
Yet these are assets that have to be created for a physical release, yet they don't exist in the digital world. So there is scope to be able to introduce them into the digital world and use them. Maybe use them as a marketing product, or actually use them as a accompaniment to the music when you purchase it.
There's been a number of attempts to bring the LP or the physical format into a digital release, but for example, the iTunes LPs haven't really taken off at all. And what has the reaction been from the public side on your product, especially considering that they have to actually go and seek it out, and it's not something that comes bundled with something to buy?
Yeah, I mean, it's actually changed recently in terms of the full product range, because we have actually just had a downloadable version
cool.
released, which is a fantastic step forward. There's been two that have been released so far, one for a great artist called Jonathan Jeremiah on Island Records, and that was done in such a fashion that people downloaded it, and then they could play with the album artwork, and they could share it with friends still, and they got 30-second clips of the music. So it was an album taster, if you like, but it was more than just the 30-second clips. It was actually a proper taster of the album. You really got a sense of what the album was about by looking through the booklet and seeing all the pictures. The second one was a fantastic project to be involved with. It's Imogen Heap's first track of her new album that she's producing over 3 years, and produced a 3D ICD that actually people downloaded at the beginning of this 2-week project, and it evolved and grew as an artwork until at the end it turned into the artwork for the release. And then that was actually bundled as part of the download when people purchased. So they had the option to buy the digital track on its own, or they had the option to buy a bundle, which was the track, the 3D ICD, a video, and a number of other versions of the track.
Yeah.
Fantastic project, really amazing project. And the reaction that we've had from it has been amazing. Really.
And has it generally been the case that people are using it to actually reproduce the artwork that they have used in the physical packaging, or have they actually been releases where they create sort of a fake album package for 3D ICD?
Yeah, I wasn't really expecting that side of things when we first sort of proposed this, but yes, there have been ones that have been put forward, and Imogen's is a good example. That is it wasn't really termed as a single. It's actually the first track of the album. That is it's a lovely, beautiful looking package, but it doesn't exist in reality. But you can see it in its full reality, if you like. It's digital reality on screen. That's not to say it might not exist at some point, but at the moment it's just a digital release. That is just a digital thing, and there are a couple of other people who followed that process as well.
Yeah, and in terms of like the way the service is can be expanded and scaled, do you guys create every single release as a bespoke one-off at the moment? And do you foresee being able to actually do these in a slightly more automated way, if that's the case?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot that about the product that is frameworked purely based on the fact that it's a conscious choice to follow the route of it being the packaging, because as we all know, there's an enormous amount that you could do online, and there's an enormous amount you can do to engage the music fan online. But actually doing it in a consistent approach so that the fans know what they're getting, what they're buying into, is quite a good way of actually getting some kind of public support and public buy-in, because it means they know what they're going to get.
Yeah.
Essentially, as a mass market proposition, that's where it really gains its strength.
Yeah.
There is a lot about it that is frameworked, if you like, and the framework has been built from scratch to be put into a position where things can be quickly put in and replicated as a process.
And we met it was probably just at the beginning of the company's journey when you had the first release with Imogen Heap. And since then, you've had an incredible reaction from all the majors, a number of independents. Lots of people wanting to work with you. Did you expect that? And how did you pitch the product to get in order to get that sort of reaction?
That's a good question. Probably not. I guess it could be termed arrogant. Yes, I did expect some kind of a good reaction, because we truly believe it's a good product and we truly believe it fills a gap. It has had a fantastic reaction from majors. We have gone into them. We've been honest about the product. There are plenty of products that go out there and gain major attraction through being a one-off product that an artist uses, and it becomes something that's very exciting for that artist, and it comes and it goes. Our position is to position this as something that can be repeated for every release. Yeah. It's put at a price point that it can be repeated for every release, and it's at a price point where it can attract the individual person who's putting an album out, and it's a small additional charge at the end compared to a lot of the other things that they've got to go through in process terms. Sure. But also, therefore, it becomes something that we're trying to get into a position where it's a no-brainer for majors to do it on the end, because we get tremendous results from people who are visiting this, particularly as a marketing release, because we're getting on average 8 minutes of engagement time that people are spending just on this product, even if it only has 30-second clips.
Yeah.
And we're getting an average of 2 to 3% click-through.
Yeah.
So when you compare that to your average web banner and that style of approach, which is where the price point sort of pitches it, the results are amazing in comparison.
Do you actually offer an option to buy the physical album from 3D ICD or via 3D ICD, or is it always a digital option that you offer? Because it's kind of interesting to see whether people look at the packaging that you offer and think, oh, actually I want to grab the physical version of that because it looks really good.
We have had exactly that reaction many, many times over. And yes, we do. It's a specific choice to have the digital as well as the physical. We have a position now within the industry where I'm not quite sure of the exact up-to-date figures, but fairly recent figures in terms of certainly the UK market. We've got an 80% of people are still buying physical albums, not digital. Yet 2% of people are buying physical singles instead of digital singles. So there's been a massive divide between the people who are actually jumping in and buying digital singles to the people who are buying digital albums. And to our mind, there is a big shortfall in the whole process of buying a digital album. And this is where we like to think that we could sit as giving that value back to the whole process of buying an album. So when somebody does buy, in the same way as the Imogen Heap people have, there was a process there where the fans had to wait a good 5 days before the bundle option became available. But there was a lot of, from the chatter that we've watched, there was a lot of people who said, no, I'm still going to hold out because I want the artwork. I'm still going to hold out because I want the bundle. Yeah. And we believe that is a common theory across album purchases. And certainly the feedback we've had from straw polls to industry to heads of labels through to people who are just happen to be working at a label at the time, right the way through to friends, family, and so on, there is this conscious thought that it would be great to have this as available as a digital way that they could experience an album, because it relates very much to the process that they are already accustomed to. And that means that it's an easy buy-in, and it's a way of holding people's hands into the digital domain. And considering there's the 80% of these purchasers out there who haven't made that jump, there's a big market.
Yeah, sure. And in terms of like the way the platform is built, what is it built on? And is there any way that you can foresee this being accessible from tablet PCs? Because that's something that comes from, it's such a beautiful and, accessible product that it's something that you could imagine being quite versatile for a touchscreen interface.
Absolutely, it's an area where we're incredibly excited about, not just in terms of the technology that is exciting in itself, but bringing our product to that technology is incredibly exciting, because you have this interface to a product that you feel like you should be able to touch, and the tablets take that divide out the way, so you're getting even closer to the whole experience of actually owning that album. Some of the products that we have, nearly every 3D ICD that's out there, it has a web app version of it that is available through the iPad and that is available through the iPhone. These are built through HTML5 and CSS3 technology. Rather than Flash, which is the original technology that these are built on, which is a conscious decision because of its cross-platform ability and its ability to be bundled up as an Air app so people can download them. So there is a sort of conscious decision to involve that technology because, that technology is still amazing. The fact that some platforms have decided not to take that technology on means that we also have to investigate the HTML5, CSS3 versions, and we have that in place, and we have a roadmap in place to start looking at other ways that we can integrate into those technologies. Yeah,
sure. I suggest anybody to go and check out 3dicd.com, and you can see almost like a shelf with CDs that you can pull out. It's a beautiful presentation of the platform. So you would almost imagine some sort of like way to reproduce that within your own collection once the service becomes more mainstream and there are loads of releases available for it.
Absolutely. One of the big drives we have at the moment is to get a significant public proposition together that we can present to the public in this shelf format, because the end game is to have this as a repository for albums. So rather than them being individual albums that you're downloading necessarily one by one, it can actually be a route to get to albums. You may well be able to purchase them or download them within the shelf. And when you start thinking about the technology advances that we have at the moment in terms of smart TVs and things like that, the whole process of having what is essentially an operating system interface for your music at 32 inches big on your in the corner of your living room or on your living room wall certainly doesn't have the same kind of attraction as a really graphically rich interface that's to get to your albums, replicating essentially what you've got in your cupboard anyway. And we do have, we have leaders of departments in major labels saying to us, actually, you know what? If we had this if this was available now, I'd stick all my CDs up in my loft. Because this is great. I get all of the availability of digital structuring. In other words, you can alphabetize, you can search via rock or search via any kind of genre or a particular artist, but you've still got your physical artwork that people just don't want to let go of.
Yeah, and clearly, this will certainly appeal to a demographic, as you were saying, that might not be completely used to the digital side of things and is still attached to the physical format. But have you had any kind of surprises in terms of demographics and in terms of younger people maybe getting pretty excited about this technology and being able to actually explore the packaging?
Yes, we certainly have. One of them was at the end of last year. We did a release for Sony in the US, which was the Big Time Rush album. And this was brought forward as about 5 days before the release of the album. It created an enormous amount of excitement between sort of 13 and 14-year-old kids who see Big Time Rush on the Nickelodeon channel.
Yeah.
And there was a huge amount of excitement about them going out and buying the CD, having seen this. This was a big surprise to us because there's certainly not a big amount of talk within the industry about 13 and 14-year-old kids still going out buying CDs, but there obviously is there because of the reaction that we've seen. Plus, with the Imogen Heap single the Imogen Heap track that we've just produced, there was a lot of young people who were following that, who were really holding back to try and make sure that they could get the bundle that had all the graphics with it.
We talked about creating an environment where you can explore these releases together, and about mobile accessibility.
Yes.
So it sounds like you got your hands full in terms of like development roadmap for the company. So what do you think is the most immediate feature that you would like to add into the service?
It's a good question, and you're right. We really do have our hands full in terms of development, and we've got quite a sort of aggressive plan to develop forward. I think the introduction into the mobile territory is an incredibly important area for us. To bring the USP that we have with this product into that area and make it make sense within that area properly. Certainly on the tablets as well. Any kind of integration that we can do with the domestic music products, whether that be via tablets or whether it be via things that are produced for that area now. There's a lot of advancements going on in that area. And essentially completely cross-platforming it and giving the same experience right the way through the whole platform, and introducing this whole notion that you don't have to lose the whole album experience by going for the digital option.
Yeah. Well, it was great having you on the show, and again, the website is 3dicd.com, where you can check out all the projects that they've produced, and some great samples on there. And you have a Twitter account as well?
We do, which is at 3DICD.
Okay, that's fantastic. And thank you very much for being on.
Thank you, Andrea. It's been an absolute pleasure.